Hi, this is Dan Woods. I'm CTO and editor of earlyadopter.com, and I'm going to Strata San Jose 2018. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm expecting to find there, how I'm organizing my time, and some pretty cool vendors that I've heard about and know about. If you've ever gone to an O'Reilly conference, you know that the promise of an O'Reilly conference is that you're going to get excellent information from people who are right at the coalface of doing really cool things. Now, the challenge of O'Reilly conferences from O'Reilly's point of view is they have to mix that sort of access to really intense experts in with marketing information and presentations by all of the vendors who pay the bills to have the conference. Now, the first year of an O'Reilly conference is always the best because you just have people who are close to the coalface. The vendors who are there are really in the background. As an O'Reilly conference gets mature, however, O'Reilly has to balance this, and they do a really good job of it, I think better than any of the other event companies. And so what you end up with it is something like Strata, where you have a bunch of really smart people coming, usually giving you ideas that you don't know about or haven't talked about, interspersed with vendors giving presentations that are of varying quality. The vendors who really know what they're doing always focus on education and present ideas. The vendors who really don't understand the O'Reilly audience, they give product pitches and do marketing information from whatever chance they get. That's not really a good idea. In any event, what I go to O'Reilly conferences for is really interesting information from those presenters. And you find that many of the sessions you get people from Netflix or LinkedIn or Uber talking about what they're really doing in solving really difficult problems. And these sessions, which are, there's many of them at O'Reilly Strata, are really the ones that I think are the most valuable. But another thing that goes on is that you have an exhibitor floor that is full of companies in all different stages. I learn a lot by going around and examining and talking to the people at all of these vendor booths and talking to the people I meet at the vendor booths, the other people who are interested in the same questions I do. And then, of course, I learn a lot by just meeting my old friends who are always going to O'Reilly conferences, and also meeting people that I didn't expect to meet. And, there's fun to be had all around. So what I'm going to go through now is what I'm interested in this year at Strata and some of the vendors that I think are related to my interests. The reason that I'm going to Strata this year is different than in the past years. Usually I've gone with a generic research intent, trying to get smarter, come up with ideas for my Forbes column, come up with ideas for my research writing, deepen my understanding of a few products, and generally meet people and network. I've had all sorts of good things happen to me from people I've just met on the floor. Well, this year I've got a much more tight research agenda. I launched earlyadopter.com in January as a new research site focused on finding ways to create sustainable advantage through intelligent use of IT. The way that I'm working on my research at earlyadopter.com is by using what I call research missions. These are actual specific ways that you can create a sustainable advantage. And I also am focusing on product profiles, which are deep descriptions of what a product does that an early adopter would find satisfying. Because if you're an early adopter, you're looking for not only to build technology, but you're looking for products that fit into your vision of how you want to do things. And really understanding the origin story, the mission, and what I call the central dogmas of a product will help you figure out whether the current capabilities are moving in the right direction and the kind of use cases that will be supported now and in the future. So, what I'm going to go through now are the research missions that we're after at. What I'm going to go through now are the research missions I'm pursuing at Strata and the companies that I've grouped that seem to be related to each one of them. The first research mission I'm looking at is one called Saving the Data Lake. This one is published on earlyadopter.com, and it's all about how to re-envision the concept of the data lake so it actually provides much more value than the first wave of data lakes did. As many of us who've looked into this know, the first wave of data lakes did not achieve their potential that they had promised. On earlyadopter.com, you'll find some articles about the different failure modes that data lakes fell into, but it's really much more important to figure out how this really important concept can be used successfully. And so saving the data lake is one of the things that I think many of the vendors at Strata can help with. For example, you've got
Podium Data,
which is created a new concept of a data marketplace that includes user feedback data so that you can try to get some notion of how the data is being used to understand where to invest to improve and enhance all the data in that data lake. There's also companies like Elation, which are there tracking the queries that you do and provide you a way of managing and identifying the queries that are popular, and to help people construct queries, and also to help people figure out how to make the most and where the action is, as it were, in a group of analysts. Attunity is an interesting company in that it has a bunch of products such as visibility and replicate that can solve some of the plumbing problems and the operational problems that had occurred in data lakes. Dremio is one of the more interesting companies. I just recently wrote an article about them in Forbes about how they can create a self-service way of combining raw data sets into new synthetic virtual data sets that then can be used by analysts directly. The promise of Dremio is the promise of self-service data assembly. And in the article, I developed one of the concepts which has become very important in the research missions, called the central dogma. And I think that it's an interesting way of capturing what a product's all about. Other interesting companies in this are Qbol, of course, which is productizing and creating a easy to use interface for the many different systems such as Hadoop, Spark, Presto, and others. And then Trifacta is there as well, which has a data prep tool which can help really with cleaning and transforming data. Depending upon which level and what kind of people you have, people will find approaches from all of these different vendors useful. The other research mission that I'm after is called Refactoring and Optimizing Your Data Supply Chain. This research mission is about understanding the different layers that you have in the data supply chains you have in place, and how can you refactor and improve what you have so that you can make it much more easy to absorb data and then to create a new pipeline that is manageable and doesn't increase technical debt and allows you to put the data to use rather than creating a big to-do list. One of the things that's really interesting to me is the way that the idea of the data product is emerging. Dataiku, a company, provides a system that helps people create data products. And I think that that's just exactly what is needed to help people create a better data lake. Another company called Quilt Data talks about Docker for data, which is creating reusable chunks of data. And that's a really interesting thing. Now, of course, there's all sorts of plumbing in here that is fascinating. Some of it's related, it can be used in the Saving the Data Lake mission, but also there's companies like Snowflake, which offer a really powerful cloud-based data warehouse, or Splice Machine, which offer an ability to have an OLAP and an OLTP database in one engine, so you can split the workloads across those two engines as you needed. And in some cases, the system will automatically decide which engine is appropriate. Of course, then there's the companies that help manage the plumbing of a data supply chain, such as SyncSort and Talent, and a whole new set of companies that are handling streaming data and unstructured data and everything. The other research missions that I'm pursuing, one is on building a balanced cybersecurity portfolio. This is all about how do you choose among all the different food groups of security technology the right ones for you. Another is learning to think in graphs, and this is a really fun area this year, although there's not a lot of graph companies at Strata, fewer than I'd expect. We've got MemGraph, which I don't know a lot about, but then Neo4j, the leader in the space who's done the most to make graph friendly to the enterprise, and then also TigerGraph, which comes from a place of sort of like a scalable OLAP approach to the graph space. TigerGraph essentially implements an MPP implementation of a graph that scales according to them really well. Now, of course, there's dozens of other graph companies. I'm looking recently at Cambridge Semantics, and I really like the power of the semantic overlay to graph technology as a way of really helping close the gap between the usefulness of graphs in applications in a formal way rather than having the structure be all done by convention. You can actually model it using the semantic standards. Other graph companies that are interesting include, of course, Amazon's Neptune offering and its Blaze graph, and then there's a variety of graph add-ons to lots of other technologies that, depending upon your use case, can be useful. The two other areas that I think are interesting are evaluating and consuming productized AI solutions. I've written about productizing of AI solutions, mostly about Anodot, who is presenting at the conference or exhibiting at the conference, and then there's just a variety of other companies that are trying to create a turnkey use of AI. I think this is the way AI will be adopted most widely by IT departments and the broad swath of companies. It's really important to do things and understand the approaches, and simple productized AI can go a long way to helping you do that. Of course, then O'Reilly, the biggest group of vendors at the O'Reilly conference is the companies that are involved in the category of building custom AI and big data solutions. And here you have all sorts of fascinating plumbing. Kinetica is offering a GPU-powered SQL-based database that can incorporate lots of machine learning capabilities and really unlock the power of AI. You've got MapR Technologies with its data fabric, which is quite interesting. You've got a variety of other companies such as Iguazio or H2O AI or Redis Labs that all offer really powerful stuff that can help you build a really powerful infrastructure. So anyway, that's what I'm interested in doing at Strata this year, and I hope I see you there. I'm hoping to cover more of the companies in some more video chats, and anybody who'd like to add their name or bring themselves to my attention, please do reach out to me at dwoods@evolvedmedia.com. Thank you very much.